Once again, welcome back. Still Daybreak Africa features tuned in, reaching you from our very own studios in Ondo City. I'm Ezekiel Ogar. As earlier I said, by Anire and I, we shall be looking at the suicide bombing resurgence, Nigeria's security architecture in focus. And with us in the house, like I said earlier, a political seer. He is a trained journalist, a political analyst, columnist, former media aide to a lawyer, educationist, and public relations manager. It's been a while he's been with us. I mean, he has been, traveling home and abroad, and all that. I think these are the very few persons the dollar thing happened not to affect in this nation. He said that he's in Egypt today, Canada tomorrow, Australia, and when we managed to, reach out to him, he said, okay, KAFTAN has been a family to me, so I would make it, I will be here. And in spite of his busy schedule and even end up cancelling certain flights, Sam Olorunfemi is with us in the house. Welcome on Daybreak, Sam.
Ezekiel, Anire, good to be back. I'm also affected by the dollar.
It never seems so. I mean, you're always in this country tomorrow, the other next tomorrow.
Ezekiel, you need to see how much we are spending on flights now, unlike before. Ezekiel, unlike before. So everybody's affected by this. But I don't know those who are in Aso Rock.
Okay.
No, I'm not in Aso Rock. I'm outside the rock. So those people within the rock, I don't know if they have been affected by
dollar. They say the rich also cry in this time.
Where that cry, is it crocodile cry or we cry? You
Sam,
understand?
I wouldn't know. Sam, you're the analyst. You should be the one giving us the answers, not asking the question. Don't tilt it. Okay, so today we're taking a look at a very important topic, the resurgence of suicide bombing or suicide bombers in the country. We want to take a look at our security architecture to see where the loophole is, how good they're faring, or if they are not, what needs to be done, as it were. But we can't begin this discussion without first addressing the focal point, which is, let me say, Boko Haram. Again, we woke up one morning to find terrorists in our midst. I grew up in this nation. Most of my life has been spent here, and Nigeria happened to be one of the happiest. In fact, we made the Guinness Book of Records. The Yoruba people were said to be the happiest people in the world, and they're Nigerians. We're known to be happy. This country was known to be as peaceful as possible, as you can imagine, and suddenly we had stuff like this. So I want us to go down memory lane. Boko Haram was started by Muhammad Yusuf.
Exactly.
As a group, started a group in 2002.
Pressure group
Yes. Against Western education.
Yes.
But somewhere along the line, he was eventually killed. And in 2009, Shekau started the armed rebellion against the Nigerian government. So I want us to go back for Muhammad Yusuf, a group that was supposed to be in the desert. That's the first time I ever heard about the group. Oh, there's this group in the desert somewhere in Maiduguri where they agitate against Western education. And before we knew what was happening, we are faced with the insecurity. Nigeria now has a tag, which is insecurity. So take us down that memory lane from 2002 to 2009 and somehow to 2024, where we're finding ourselves before we go in depth into the topic for the day.
Well, thank you, Anire, for that for that introduction. But let me go back since 1999. Let's go back to 1999.
Okay.
When former President Olusegun Obasanjo took over the government from then military head of state, General Absalom Abubakar. During that period, we saw EU of communal clashes under President Obasanjo. Don't forget Ife Amudareke Tozu about land boundaries, so on and so forth. From there, we moved to what happened in Odi that led to the leveraging of Odi massacre and so on and so forth. So when Obasanjo, even though the EU of Boko Haram that you made mention of started under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and that government then was highly criticized for killing Yusuf, for killing him. Don't forget that that particular group started as a pressure group in such a way that these are demands. Western education is highly forbidden, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, he was arrested. During the process, we were told, well, I wasn't there, we were told that he was killed in an unlawful manner. So that was triggered his foot soldiers to say they will revenge and so on and so on. So that was how you of this Boko Haram started. Although we did not see much under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, this was Boko Haram and so on and so forth. We only tried to manage or witness the issue of Ife Modakeke and so on when a particular military officer was killed in Nodilu government in Bayelsa State, and Obasanjo gave order to go and just level that particular place. But when he left office, Yar'Adua took over in 2007, and under Yar'Adua, we started seeing some skirmishes of Boko Haram in another part of the country. But what we saw most under Yar'Adua was the issue of Niger Delta militancy. You understand now? Bombing pipeline, kidnapping people, and so on and so forth. That was what led to the creation of Niger Delta Ministry under Yar'Adua, granting amnesty to militancy and so on and so forth. Just to allow that issue of insecurity in the Niger Delta region put abated, although it did not live long to complete that particular tenure. But we saw the worst case under Jonathan between 2010 when he took over down to 2015 when he left office, when he was defeated in that particular presidential election that ushered in the present APC government, APC of 18 now, when Muhammadu Buhari won that particular election in 2015. Under Jonathan, the issue of Boko Haram, particularly in the northeastern part of the country, don't forget we have six geopolitical zones: the southwest here, the southeast, the south-south, north-central, northeast, and northwest. So under Jonathan, we saw much of this Boko Haram insurgency at the northeast of the country. I could remember in December 2011, I was in Katsina. Jonathan declared state of emergency. Some 3 local governments in Borno State. It was then, maybe for the first time, majority of Nigerians, particularly we at the southern part of the country, got to know about a particular place called Chibok, when those our girls were kidnapped at that particular time. So during Jonathan's regime, the issue of Boko Haram became an issue in such a way that it almost brought Nigeria to its knees. Don't forget the bomb attack that took place at the United Nations in Abuja. Definitely. Don't forget the bomb attack that took place at the first headquarters. Afis Ringin was the Inspector General of Police then.
That was in 2011.
Fantastic. Don't forget Nyanyamoto Park bomb blast in Abuja. 2016. To a point that Jonathan came out to say that the issue of Boko Haram activity has restricted its movement, that it can't move, and then so during that time we witnessed a lot of insecurity in Nigeria, like I said, particularly at the northeast of the country. In fact, the first time I heard about Potiskum, I don't believe that Potiskum is in Nigeria, and it's in Yobe State. You understand? And again, during that particular regime of Jonathan regime, it's like government did not do the needful to arrest insecurity in this country. And let me tell you, like I keep saying, what the law says is very clear. Section 14, subsection 2b of the Constitution, that the priority of government shall be to protect lives and property. Number one assignment of government is not to build roads, is not to build schools, is not to build infrastructure. Number one thing of the government is for you to secure lives and the property of your citizens. So we've been battling with the issue of insecurity since 1991, even though dimensionally, like that of Obasanjo was just limited to issue of regional and communal clashes, that of Yar'Adua limited to the south of the country. Then during Jonathan regime, the whole thing got escalated to a point that people were asking that, are we still together in this country? The issue of insecurity today, in fact, during Jonathan, bombing became issue of daily occurrence to our people at another part of the country. Is that you are trained fireworks, because during that time I was in Katsina as a corps member. So during that time it was as if you are trained fireworks in such a way that you hear bomb attack today is no new to them. But we at the southern end here knew and gave us a kind of a worry that can we continue like this, because there's no country that can grow when the insecurity is not effective and efficiently managed under any government. So when former President Buhari was coming in 2015, and one of the reasons why Buhari won that election in 2015 was on 2 grounds: to fight corruption and to fight issue of insecurity to Sansi. So many Nigerians believed that having former President Buhari in place, happens to be retired general, that he would be able to manage the security architecture of Nigeria as expected. But hey, unfortunately, when he came on board, he tried to manage the issue of suicide bombing at the northeastern part of the country, that is northeast, comprising the whole 6 states at the northeast of the country, to a point that during its 8 years administration, and we must give this to former President Muhammadu Buhari, during its 8 years administration, the issue of bomb attacks in northeast totally put abated in such a way that hardly will you hear about issue of bombers going on, detonating bombs, killing people, and so on and so forth. Even though we had a lot of setback because we lost some of our gallant men into that particular battle. In fact, to a point, we were told, was it under General Burutai, Chief of Army Staff, if I get that correctly now, they told us that they've chased these people away out of Sambisa Forest. And when you look at Sambisa Forest, I've never been there. When you look at Sambisa Forest, according to report, it's like the all 6 western states, that is southwestern state in our country here, Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, and so on and so forth. So the size as well is also a problem. And in fact, during that of President Muhammadu Buhari, we saw a kind of relative peace in the northeast of the country. Then what did we see? We saw issue of banditry moving from northeast, sweeping the whole entire northwest of the country, moving to the north central, to a point that we saw a lot of kidnappings in Katsina, that should be Kebbi State and Zamfara State then. So the issue of insecurity has been there from time immemorial. And now some people are saying that, okay, can we amend section 214 of the Constitution that talks about centralization of the Nigerian police architecture, that let us decentralize this issue of police information to a point that governors, or let me say subnationals, will be able to have their own security police architecture. And that was what led to creation of Amatekun in the southwest. When former governor of Ondo State was there, Akeredolu, you know, there was this attack that happened to a particular prominent woman in Nigeria along Lagos and Olorunfemi. That woman was killed. And that was what prompted all the southwestern government that it is high time now for us to rise and protect our territory. Under Section 5 of the law. Section 4 talks about the legislative power, whether at the federal level or at the state level. Then Section 5 talks about the executive power of Mr. President and Mr. Governor in such a way that they have that executive power to enact any law that will guarantee the safety of their citizens. That was what led to this creation of Amatekun under the Southwest Governor when Akeredolu was there. In fact, don't forget that the creation of Amatekun led to a kind of legal fisticuff between Akeredolu and the then Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, SAM, both as senior advocate of Nigeria. No, Akeredolu now is late now. That it is high time for us now to establish a kind of our own regional security architecture that will be able to protect our regions against issue of insecurity. But we must understand that there's no world, no country in the whole world that is 100% safe. You can tell you that no country in the whole world that you can say, even the almighty America, the almighty UK, the almighty France, the almighty Canada, no country in the whole world that is 100% safe. But what we are saying in Nigeria is that can we have that a kind of peaceful atmosphere that it won't be like today we'll be recording a kind of insecurity and so on and so forth.
Exactly, which brings me to my next question. I know for a fact every administration tends to have their peculiar, unique challenge. From the beginning of this administration, we had a serious rise in kidnapping and robbery attack. People will go to your home, your very home, pick your daughter, and then request for a ransom, take it from your home, and then walk more like stroll down the street with you, and nobody could do anything about it, you know. And now I tend to wonder, for a moment, we tend to attack that situation in the period of say 4 or 6 months. It tends to be attacked, especially in Abuja for Abuja residents.
Yes.
Now I tend to wonder what then prompted this resurgence in the sudden bombings, because for a fact I personally thought to have gone away from the issue of bombing, because I know for a fact the then administration tends to really put lots of structure, just like you said, as regarding bombings and sudden insurgency, at least to some extent.
Yes. We
could actually attest something was done about that situation. What then prompted this sudden rise, this resurgence in suicide bombing all of a sudden?
You see, when I heard about the recent suicide bombing in the northern part of the country, I asked myself a question. Does it mean that we are yet to clear this issue of insurgency out of the northeast of the country? And like I said, Ezekiel, no country in the whole world is 100% safe. Even in Nigeria today, no region in the entire country that is safe. Are we saying Southwest is safe, even though we've not been recording EU of suicide bombing in the Southwestern region? But what about kidnapping? What about this EU of attacks, even cultism attack and so on and so forth? So looking back to what will have been a kind of result that made this EU of suicide bombing to happen in Northeast again, we must look at the EU of security architecture. Does it mean that our security personnel, they are not trying to adopt what we call complacency in such a way that, oh, there's no EU of suicide bombing in the northeast of the country, then we can just go to bed and sleep and face other regions. See, these people, they have their tactics, and I will tell you one example. During when former President Buhari put a kind of smoke in the northeast of the country to show that, to make that place highly difficult for them to operate. In fact, it was during that time that we acquired what we call Super Tucano. Don't forget that during President Muhammadu Buhari, we acquired what we call Super Tucano. But federal government there was misled. How do I mean? In such a way that the agreement we entered in by Super Tucano was a Super Tucano will be used within the northeast of the country. As we speak today, you can't use Super Tucano outside the northeast of the country. You can't take it to the northwest to fight. And that is why you see that during that time, we saw a lot of migration of this issue of insecurity from the northwest, from the northeast down to the northwest, because they know, because they have their intelligence. I've listened to security experts telling us that all these security all these insurgents, they have their own intelligence, that they gather intelligence in such a way that the way they strike, the way they operate, you ask yourself question, that does it mean that we have an insider that is giving them hand and how to operate and so on and so forth? So it's like what we witnessed recently in the northeast of the country shows that insecurity is still with us in the country, and government must do everything possible to fight insecurity. May last year 29, when President Bola Tinubu was giving his inaugural speech at the 16th elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he made mention, he talked about many things that's going to address the issue of economy, agriculture, youth unemployment, and when he got to the issue of security, he made mention that his administration will put everything possible to ensure that they fight security head on in Nigeria. But fighting insecurity has gone beyond the way we used to fight it in the olden days. Like I keep saying, you can't continue adopting what we call a kinetic approach to fight insecurity and believe that you win. You can't. It's a time for us not to deploy what we call non-kinetic approach. So if government is coming with a notion that they will use what we call kinetic approach to fight insecurity again, we will still continue to see all this insecurity there again. That's the problem.
Non-kinetic approach? What approach are you suggesting now?
I'm suggesting what we call a non-kinetic approach, and I will explain. Non-kinetic approach is talking about where you deploy a massive technology, where you have a strong intelligence that something will happen, then you gather your intelligence in such a way that by the time it's happened, you have what we call a kind of response approach now to attack or to prevent it from happening. Or in a situation whereby this particular incident is happening, you have what we call a response team to address that particular issue. Let me give you some examples. You know, the issue of kidnapping, we keep asking questions. How will some people move to a particular place, kidnap hundreds of citizens, move them from one place to another without being accosted by any security personnel? It calls for a question. When the issue of Abuja Kaduna rail line was attacked under President Muhammadu Buhari, we were told by one of the victims that those people operated more than 3 hours before security personnel from Kaduna tried to move in and escape them. So the question we'll be asking is that how will some element have time to operate more than 3 hours and no response from anywhere, from any security architecture? So it shows that we are lacking in our intelligence. And again, how will these people operate in beating our security personnel? It's in this country that, don't forget that even the defense house in Kaduna was attacked recently. Yes. That some people disguised, moved in, and they detonated bomb at that particular bed. So it's like, we can see, kinetic approach we've been adopting. It's like when something happened, at the end of the day, they put up a call, then before you see the presence of security personnel, those who perpetrated about that particular evil, they must have left. So when we are talking about non-kinetic approach, is deployment of massive technology and gathering of intelligence. So what is the level of our intelligence gathering in Nigeria to fight insecurity in such a way that before this thing will happen, we have a first-hand information that something like this is about to happen, whether it will happen or not. So by the time you have a first-hand information that something like this is about to happen, even those who want to carry that particular heinous attack, we know that it's like security personnel is trying to dictate their move to carry that attack. So something will happen, and at the end of the day, we have this fund of rushing to that particular place. Again, now look at what is going on in the south of the country. We keep calling them unknowing government. For how long are we going to continue calling them unknowing government? They come out, they launch attack, they kill our people, and they go scot-free. So you can't, and that's what is happening in other developing countries. Deployment of technology in fighting insecurity is the way to go. There was a time that news broke out in this country that is like maybe UK or US is coming to have a military base in Nigeria. So people raised EU that no, we can't have them, and it is true. I was interviewed on the radio saying that no, the moment you allow them to come and set up their base in this country, it shows that our security architecture has totally and 100% collapsed. So it shows that we don't have the capable men in Nigeria to fight insecurity. So that's what we are telling government, that security in Nigeria has gone beyond the EU of kinetic approach. That something you happen, you'll be waiting for to have a response call from people that will call you.
Respond.
Go to all some villages in the north. Do they have the strong network? What is the state of the road that connects people? We see as some communities today in Nigeria that when you go to, you can never see a presence of any security personnel at that particular community. And people will go there, strike, kidnap their people, do a lot of things, and go away with it.
Now, Sam, I want to ask you this question. We've established that or on the show, based on what you've said, that there is a possibility that we have moles within our security network.
Exactly.
We have moles. Just yesterday, I was watching a documentary on YouTube about a mole in the FBI who was selling information to the Russians. They put a tab on him for 2 years, and eventually they were able to, they suspected that there was a mole within the FBI, especially in his department. They put an eye on him. They even promoted him to a place where they could actually take a look at him. For 2 years they followed him, and eventually he was caught. And the moment he was caught, the whole United States knew, because again, I was able to watch the documentary. There's a picture to the face, his family history, his name, the position that he held. If forever we've noted that we have moles in our military or security architecture, how come in 2024 we are yet to have names, we are yet to have information about who these people are, to the extent that we woke up one morning, we're now having multiple suicide bombing go off, and we don't even know what is going to happen tomorrow?
And that validated my assertion that we lack what we call intelligence gathering in this country. And that's the problem. Until we build on the intelligence gathering, all this will continue going unabated. That some people, there was a time in this country where military was indicted in such a way that there are some bad eggs within them who are revealing information.
We never got any names.
Who are revealing information to all these criminal elements. And at the end of the day, noise will happen, and it will go unattended to. And that is why I say that we need highly responsible government. If truly we want to fight insecurity in Nigeria, we need highly responsible government to fight insecurity in this country. Then the issue of nepotism in appointing who becomes the service chiefs, we must go away with that. There's a transition in this country that the moment you become the president, you tend to put your people, whether from your region or from your ethnic device, in such a way that they will be there answering to whatever you are doing. That will not help us in fighting insecurity in Nigeria. Now, let me tell you, the general that took over for Burutai, when Burutai was relieved of his job, that particular man, I can't get his name, that died in the plane crash between Abuja to Kaduna. He made first statement in assuming office that all this military hardware that government claimed to have bought when he yet to become the show, that where are the hardwares? And that was where his problem began in this country. People started raising that, no, taking over from your boss, this statement, you are not supposed to make this statement. If at all you want to find out anything, it's supposed to be a closed door meeting between you and your predecessor. So that is the problem.
The closed door meetings are where the problems are.
So that is the problem. Until we have a government that is ready to fight insecurity to stand still in such a way that it won't be the issue of ethnics, that these people from my place and so on and so forth. Then again, do we also have a data in this country in such a way that if anybody to commit a particular offense, it will be easily traced? You made mention that some people now, something happened, put his name inside the computer, everything will just pop up to know the location, to know the name, to know the face, to know the fingerprint, and so on and so forth. Now, what is the value of, I keep saying, technology. Something will happen in US, something will happen in UK. Within 10 or 5 minutes or 3 days, you already know the information of the person that carried out the attack, even though yet to be arrested. But at least the FBI will tell you the information. This is the person, blah, 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 blah. In some days, the person will be apprehended. Do we have that in this country? No, the answer is no. So that's why I'm saying that we need to invest heavily in what we call intelligence gathering in such a way that all these things, and again, the lack of intelligence, that's why some people can feel relaxed and continue to leak our information to criminal elements, how they will strike, how they will operate, the time they will go there, just like at least our security personnel are handicapped, that they don't know what to do again. And again, look at the size of Nigeria, look at our landmass, look at the number of security personnel we have. It is quite obvious that the number of security we have is grossly inadequate to fight insecurity in Nigeria from one place to another. And that's why some people are pushing that we need more hands to fight insecurity in Nigeria. Then what is government doing? What is the Office of the National Security Advisor? Don't forget that the Office of the National Security Advisor is a very key office in fighting insecurity in Nigeria, because that is the only office that liaises directly with presidency in what to do and not what to do. There was a time the issue of synergy was lacking between the service chiefs in this country. Why a particular section of the security administration believe that this assignment is called for me, you don't need to come and just do it. This issue of internal security supposed to be the issue of police personnel to fight. But what are we seeing now? We are even dragging our military personnel who are supposed to be watching over our territorial integrity now. We are even dragging them to civil EU. So that is the problem. Government must wake up. We can't continue, and let me go a little bit to the issue of economy. People are talking about food scarcity in Nigeria, food problem in Nigeria. Before farmers cannot go to farm again to farm. You go to farm again to farm, you don't even know whether you will come back home safe or alive. So that is the problem. And government must understand that if your country is not well secured, nobody will come and invest in your country. And that's one of the factors that make foreign investors, or determines whether foreign investors will come to your country or not. Insecurity is here, corruption is here, power problem is here. But I think the one we are talking today is the issue of insecurity in Nigeria.
Now, Ezekiel, let me quickly ask this, because I do not want to forget it. You mentioned something that struck me. That I've never ever considered it that way. You said, you gave us an analogy. You mentioned Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes.
Goodluck Jonathan's regime was like fireworks going every day.
Yes.
Then suddenly, Buhari came in, and there was a lull in the fireworks for 8 years. Then suddenly, Tinubu
yes,
is now in power, and now we're having multiple suicide bombings going on. So I am thinking here, and again, you did say that one of the reasons why Buhari came into power, why it was important that do or die, in quote, that they had to bring a northern president into play, was because of the insecurity that was blowing in from the northern part of the country. So again, Goodluck Jonathan, not northerner, Buhari, northerner, Tinubu, northerner, and now we're having suicide bombing, multiple suicide bombing going on. Should we be worried that this has some kind of ethnic connotation to it? Should we be worried as Nigerians going by this history that you've played out?
You know, prior to 2015 general election, we were made to know that Goodluck Jonathan Jonathan was mad by issue of insecurity, not because northern people don't want him to be there, that northern people don't want southern people to be their president, that they want the northerners, that if northerners should come, this issue of insecurity in the northern part of the country will totally put abated in such a way that we will not see issue of insecurity in Nigeria today. We put a northerner there in 2015 through the ballot. I don't want to say we put, so that it won't look like if it was as a matter of being selected. It was voted for by some Nigerians. At the end of the day, he won that election. In fact, despite Buhari, from northern part of the country, president for 8 years, I told you that we saw a lot of insecurity from the northwest of the country. What of Kaduna? Don't forget that during 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, we recorded 1 ton of insecurity cases. In Kaduna, some students were arrested to a point that when El-Rufai was there, for some days, schools were not open in Kaduna because of issue of insecurity in that Kaduna. And people were asking that, if today, we have about 98% of our security formation in Kaduna. Now that we have a northerners there, as a Yoruba man who is now the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even though the vice president is from the northern part of the country, from Borno to be precise, a former governor of Borno State. So what I'm saying is that if some people want to politicize, that is it because that we have a southerner there, president, that people want to wage war from the northern part of the country to ensure and make his government to look as if it's not capable. Because one of the reasons why people will weigh your government whether you've done well or not is the area of insecurity. So if you don't do in the area of insecurity, people will record your admission very low. Now, if people are coming with the notion that maybe because it's from the southern part of the country and some people want to raise their ugly head, the task is in his hands to prove them wrong, that if some people are coming with that particular notion, that's the tension. Fight insecurity. Let me tell you, Ari, insecurity doesn't know whether you are from Yoruba land or you are from outside land. Don't forget that when North was hot, or the year of religious crisis, we saw most of Christians died in the northern part of the country on the year of religious crisis. So to me, it is true that Nigeria is an heterogeneous society in such a way that we have multiple language, multiple cultures, and so on and so forth. But federal government must be up to the task in such a way that they fight insecurity to the standstill and let people to understand that this issue of insecurity must not be politicized. And in fact, there was a time that this issue of blame game was going on. People politicized it, that this particular political party brought in some element to disturb a particular government in this country, that they want the government to succeed. At the end of the day, we saw that particular government now taking over the affairs of the country, and the same thing continued in Nigeria.
Now, we need to take a short break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to Daybreak Africa. That was our business segment on the show, All For You. Before we went on the short break, we're discussing a very important topic, the resurgence of suicide bombing in Nigeria, as we take a look at security architecture this morning. Our guest is still here, and we will allow him to continue with his line of thoughts before the break.
So then people started politicizing it. That's like some people are waging war against the southern part of the country, or people are waging war against another part of the country. And the issue of insecurity is a sensitive matter that government must pay key attention to if any government wants to succeed in fighting against insecurity in Nigeria. When the issue of Benue issue happened under Samuel Otom, that people being killed every day, that will be recorded as a mass burial. In fact, there was a time that some people from Benue State elders went to meet President Buhari then in such a way that security must be put in such a way that everybody will have less of mind. We were told by Mr. President that we need to accommodate some people and so on and so forth. In fact, it got to a point that we were told that those who are coming to Nigeria to perpetrate this evil are not even Nigerians. There are some people from neighboring countries. And that question about our border how secure is our border? Today in Nigeria, you can talk about 2,000 porous borders in this country that people move in, move out without being checked. So that's another phase that we need to look at if truly want to fight insecurity to stand still in Nigeria. But it would be wrong and not correct to continue politicizing the issue of insecurity in this country in such a way that we make issue of government ungovernable, or make a particular person in office, whether you have another part of the country or you have the southern part of the country, that will make the government ungovernable for you in this country. So security, the issue of security is not a thing that we can deal with overnight. But government must realize, like I keep saying, government must realize that fighting insecurity to a barest minimum in such a way that Nigeria will have a confidence in government again, that yes, our lives are secured under your administration. Government must deploy what we call a kinetic approach, because that is the best way to go to fight the current insecurity in Nigeria, because nobody knows what will happen the following day. Nobody knows what will happen in the next few days. And so when you encrypt your security architecture and then working in synergy, let the office of the chief of defense staff work with the office of the chief of army staff, naval staff, air force, the inspector general of police, then combination with the office of the national security advisor, then again we know the way to go. Is there a way to go to have what we call a state policing? Is that what we address the current situation we have in this country? And that's what some governors are making case for, that it is high time for us now to decentralize the police formation in such a way that each region will have their own security architecture to address the issue of insecurity in each region.
You really have made mention of regional security architecture and all that. Once upon a time, I remember we then give kudos to the nation of Niger for helping us curtailing some of these incidents coming off from that part of our graphics. Now, I tend to wonder, how has our porous border tend to affect this sudden resurgence? Is it that somehow, based on our seeing relationship with the country of Nigeria and probably other nations around us, we now lose focus, or we have no idea? Or is it more like they have been the one actually fighting the battles for us, and now that we have one or two misunderstandings here and there, they tend to just leave the battle for us, and we are really confused as to how to really attack?
When the current Minister of Interior, Binitie, when he assumed office, happens to be an IT guy, he told us that if we want to fight this issue of regional insecurity in this country, that we must ensure that we have security, or we have technology to police our borders. Now, let me give a typical example. The fall of Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. When you look at your map very well, Libya, Niger, and Nigeria. You can't take away the foot soldier of Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. When he died, we had some of the foot soldiers migrated from Libya down to Niger. From Niger, they entered into Nigeria. Then they will perpetrate evil and leave. Because during that time, there was what we call an investigative report, in such a way that some reporters went to go and meet some village heads to even ask a question. These people who are coming to cause problem, are they really Nigerians? And Ezekiel, let me shock you that we were told that some of them are not Nigerians. Don't forget that the issue of illegal mining, that all these illegal miners, some of them are not Nigerians. They move into the country without being checked. They carry out this particular illegal activities, they go back to their country. So until we have what we call a good border in such a way that we check those who are coming in, your mission in Nigeria, and go. We can't rule out ECOWAS treaties. Don't forget that we are under ECOWAS. You know, ECOWAS treaty is talking about free movement within West African region in such a way that I can move to Niger, I can move to Mali, I can move to Burkina Faso, I can move to Libya, and so on and so on. But despite ECOWAS treaty, you must ensure that you police your country in such a way that you will not have this criminal element coming to your country, perpetrate evil, and so on. Let me tell you the reason why Jonathan was unable to fight insecurity in the North Sea to South Sea. We share border with Cameroon, and the law says that your people unconventionally, they can't go into another country to fight. You say now, by the time you get to border, you retreat. That was what made Jonathan to be handicapped in fighting insecurity in the Northeast, because those people will come, launch attack, then by the time police will be on them, they move to Cameroon. So you can't go to Cameroon, or they move to Chad. And that was what Jonathan deployed. In build up to 2015 election was postponed for some months to fight insecurity, to allow people at another part of the country to be able to come out and vote. We went to Chad. to what? To have some of their security personnel to come and help us to fight this country. They were the one that pushed Boko Haram out of Nigeria in 2015 so that we have election in other part of the country. So you can't be talking about this without talking about your porous border, because porous borders will give avenue for people to come and do whatever they like and go. Some people that were kidnapped during that time, they told us that those who kidnapped them were not Nigerians, because the way and their language and so on and so that doesn't represent people from Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if really we are talking about security now, we must look at our porous borders. What are we doing to secure these borders? Who are the people coming into the country? What are they doing? Again, do we have a data of people that move to Nigeria every day? That's something we need to look at now. Under the Ministry of Interior, we must have a data of people coming to Nigeria every day and go out and regulate their activities.
Sam, I don't want to cut you short, but is it possible for strangers to come into someone's backyard and completely know every nook and cranny without any aid from the people within the country or within the town or within the community? They know all the nook and crannies. They know all the side roads. They know all the back roads. Without taking the front roads, they know how to come in and how to go out. So who do we hold responsible? Because it's impossible for a stranger to come into my house and take absolute control without somebody. I mean, we have our parables.
Yes.
It's not easy. Now, rats when they outside, now they carry rats when they show rats when, rats when they inside, now they show rats when they outside, how to enter.
Exactly.
So, let's be realistic. How do we have strangers cross into our borders, know the strategic places to go, take in 100 hostages, 50 hostages, because that was how it started.
Exactly.
And clearly and cleanly go out without being seen? It means they do not go through the sites where people will see them. They go through the back doors. So how do they have all this information?
Now, a two-way size. Number one, you're talking about outsiders coming. How do they know nook and cranny? How do they operate? How do they strike? No, these people will not just come in one day and strike. They can come in, live with us for a month, live with us for 2 months, map their strategies before they strike. Let me tell you a clinical example that what happened in Ondo State during the form of Akeredolu, when we had our attack, when our was bombed, when we had this bomb attack, church in our. Let me tell you, I want to tell you that those who carried out that attack did not come to that particular day. They must have been in our for some months, even coming to church as church members, looking at how the church look like, looking at, okay, if we come in this particular area, which other area will we pass to go out? And don't forget, I'm talking about intelligence gathering. All the people who are carried out the attack, they have their strong intelligence gathering, and that is what as if they are using now to defeat our whole security architecture.
So what are we doing?
You might be correct about some. So people are inward, giving them hands to operate and so on and so forth. And that is why we're talking about a kind of responsibility. That government must show a kind of responsibility, and government must do everything possible to ensure that the bad eggs within our security architecture, even the all service chiefs, they cannot admit that we don't have bad eggs within their system. What are they doing to fish out these bad eggs?
And give Nigerians names.
That's something that is the issue of intelligence
gathering. To the most.
If there's no intelligence gathering within the system, you can never uncover or unravel those who are leaking the information to outsiders. That's why intelligence has a big role to play. So when some people move into the country and we have some people giving them information, where to go, how to strike, it'll be very difficult for anybody who doesn't understand the topography of Ondo West now to come into Ondo West and strike. You understand? You would have been an insider who will tell you that this is Akure roundabout, this is Ife roundabout. When you navigate this way, you are moving to Adeyemi College of Education, you see civic center, some secondary schools, and so on and so forth. So it takes some insiders. And what I'm saying is that if we can't detect insiders who are giving out this information, we failed. In the area of intelligence gathering. So all this thing has to do with intelligence. Government needs to understand. If some people now, for example, the Abuja Kaduna rail attack that happened, how do they know that particular time that a rail will be coming from Abuja to Kaduna? There must have been an information given to them that at this particular time, this particular rail will leave Abuja to Kaduna. So this is time for you to strike. And that's why I say that if we don't build on intelligence gathering in deploying technology to fight insecurity in this country, things will continue go like this without any possible answer to it. So it is true that we have some people that can come into the country and strike and do whatever they like, and not all of them work with an insider. Let me shock you. Some will be in this country, pretend as this they are coming to carry out what we saw with business activities, try to use that now to study your environment and to know how to strike. And that's what I'm saying. So it is true that we have some bad eggs within the system, but the only way we can strike all these bad eggs out of this system is through intelligence gathering, because intelligence gathering will give you a first-hand information. So you can't judge appearance. You can't use appearance
Sam,
to judge someone who is doing bad.
Sam, please, I need your opinion on this,
Yes.
and maybe I don't have shadows in my mind. Boko Haram declared a caliphate in the same Goza,
Yes.
where we now have the fourth resurgence of suicide bombing.
They hosted their flag.
They hosted it there
Yes.
until they were pushed away
Exactly.
with assistance from our neighbors.
Yes.
Who actually helped, according to statistics,
Yes.
according to information.
Yes.
Our neighbors actually helped 80% in ensuring that Boko Haram was pushed out and that part taken back from them. Now, the resurgence of suicide bombing is in the location. Your reaction to these incidents happening, is it coincidence or should we be worried?
No, we need to be worried. And let me tell you why we collaborated with our sister country to help us to push Boko Haram away at that particular time. I made mention when I was having this with Ezekiel that under the law, of no account your security personnel move to other country to fight unless they are being invited. But at that particular time, we saw the need that these people will carry out attack, move to another country, move to Chad. So that was when we collaborated with the government of Chad to help us to fight in such a way that by the time they launch attack, they move to Chad, they won't have a place to hide in Chad. The security forces from Chad will smoke them out. So that was how we were able to defeat them at that particular time. Then we must come to a time of agreement. If you are battling with insecurity in your country and don't ask for my assistance, I see no reason to come and say and help you in the fight. Recently, we deployed some of our soldiers to a particular African country for peacekeeping mission. So I think there's nothing wrong in collaboration. When you want to fight insecurity to Sansi, there's need for you to collaborate, but in such a way that you believe that you have the wherewithal, security wherewithal to fight insecurity in your country, then it's point for you to keep losing the battle to insecurity. So it should be worrisome. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must rise to occasion. We must not allow this to continue like what we saw under the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, to a point that northeast in the country became standstill in such a way that no meaningful activities. Do you know the number of IDP camps we have today in Nigeria as a result of insurgency? Do you know the kind of lack of infrastructural development we have in Nigeria today as a lack of insurgency? Do you know the number of schools have been shut today in Nigeria because of insurgency? You know that many investors who have moved out of Nigeria because of insecurity. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must this is as a challenge, and he must tackle this head on, not to put on what we call a kind of nonchalant attitude that we saw under Jonathan. When Chibok girls were kidnapped under Jonathan, we were told that government said that no. Could that be real? Can we have number of people kidnapped in the net before we know the reality done on us, that truly some girls were kidnapped in Dashi? We saw that particular thing happened in Chibok girls. So I think federal government must take this as a serious case and as exigency demand now, that we must not allow this to continue. And we keep saying, former President Obasanjo raised a particular valid point. Let me tell you, when Chibok girls, when they were adopted, when they were kidnapped, people asked him as well as a former general that is it possible for all the girls to be returned, to be rescued? Baba said no. Baba said that an implication of this is that at the end of the day, these kidnapped children could be brainwashed in such a way that they will build the wall, carry out the suicide attack. And that's what we are seeing today. All these our people who have been kidnapped, where are they today? Have we been able to release all the victims in the hand of Boko Haram? And the moment they stay long with them, the moment they brainwash them, the moment they see reason to fight for themselves, and one of the reasons they tell them is that go detonate bombs, kill as many people as you want. These are your enemies. So again, we must put everything in place that those who are with this Boko Haram, those who are with these terrorists, we find a way of rescuing these people and taking them out of the captivities. If we want this issue of Boko Haram to become the thing of the past, during the fight, don't forget that during the fight of against Boko Haram, ISWAP came up then. You know, it now become a two-fire war. You are fighting Boko Haram, you are fighting ISWAP. At the end of the day, something happened that they killed themselves. In fact, don't forget that Shekara was not killed by government. Shekara
was an internal battle.
Internal battle. Was killed by ISWAP. No government. So government must take the fight down to these people. And again, what is making us now to look as if we are not winning the war? It's like we relax, we allow people to take the battle to us before we respond
to them.
You understand? So, and the best way to fight is for you to take the battle to them. Attack. Don't wait on a defensive attack. Go on offensive attack, because the more we wait for offensive attack, the more these people come, launch the attack and go away. Yes. So we must understand that we go and we take the war to them and fight insecurity to stand still in Nigeria.
Now, we tend to mention things we've been saying for the last 4 or 5 years. We talk about intelligence gathering, we talk about the need to get the right technology and all that. I tend to wonder, what then will this government, this government response to this resurgence, what will be then different from the previous? Because it's more like it's the same script all over again. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were speaking about this particular topic, and it was more like the same words, word for word. It's more like a script. So what's going to be different this time? What are we supposed to expect from this present government?
Like I said on my last thought, number one, we need to take the fight to these people.
Muhammadu Buhari took the fight to them.
We need to take the fight to these people, Ezekiel.
How different are we supposed to take this fight?
That's why I said that deploy technology.
Because I remember when he came in, he took the base from Abuja down to Maiduguri itself.
Yes.
And that was his notion.
The first thing he did, relocating the army headquarters from Abuja to Maiduguri. Ezekiel, we saw the result. Don't forget that we saw the result, even though the end of result gave back to EU banditry in the northwest of the country. Now, what we are saying is that then there must be proper accountability within the security architecture of Ezekiel. We go to our budget year in, year out. Ministry of Defense is taking the large chunk of our budget every year, because we know that development cannot take place where we don't have good security. So again, some people must also account for all this money that is going to Ministry of Defense. How are we using the money? Nigerians want to know what you are using the money for. The money that was budgeted last year to the Ministry of Defense, how effective did they use the money? What did they use the money for?
Please, Sam.
How did they use the money to fight insecurity?
Sam, please, let me, you're going to continue with your thoughts, but I got this from the internet. It says, improving security is a major challenge for Tinubu's government as it desperately seeks to attract foreign investment to grow the country's struggling economy. Under the new $35 billion budget, authorities allocated about $4 billion or 12% of the total budget to defense and security, the largest single allocation to any sector.
I said it here.
So you keep talking, then I'll be saying it in batches.
Yes,
go on.
I said it here, and it's clear since 1999. Ministry of Defense has been getting the large chunk of budget in this country because we believe that when everybody is safe, when the country is safe, investors will come and invest. People will be able to launch into various defenses and so on and so forth. So that's that some people we need to ask questions. This money going to the Ministry of Defense, how are we using the money? How has the money been used so far to fight insecurity in this country? You know, there was a time that people said that we need to buy more ammunition and so on and so forth. You can acquire all the ammunition in the whole world. If you don't use the right approach to fight insecurity, you keep losing the battle to insurgents. So that's why I'm saying that even the Ministry of Defense, what are they doing? And don't forget that each time they're having these meetings, with security chiefs, it happens to be a closed door meetings. We don't need to know. They will tell you that security is not something you can divulge to the public and so on and so forth. So
what
I think
about the numbers, the statistics? Don't give us the security information. Give us the numbers. 5 naira for 2 bullets, 3 naira for the. We don't have that.
And that's what I'm saying.
We don't have that.
No, there was a time I was here with you talking about holding leaders to account. How have you been using our money?
Yes.
You know, we voted you into office. You need to give account. And again, security architecture needs to give us account. How are you using this money to fight insecurity? Because it does look like all these enemies that we are fighting, they are even more than us. Today, you hear that they killed 5, they killed 10. Again, they launched attack. Does it mean they are even more than our security personnel who are fighting? Although we must give kudos to some of our men who are in the bushes and so on and so forth, fighting every day, having sleepless nights and so on and so forth. In fact, there was a time in this country where some security personnel rebelled against the officers that they are not well being paid, they don't have correct ammunition to face insecurity. I think that happened under Jonathan, that you send them to a war, the ammunition they are carrying is inferior to those ammunitions that their opponent enemies are carrying. So what are we talking about in this country? So that's why I said that each year we keep budgeting huge amount of money to Ministry of Defence. How are we using the money? They should give us a breakdown how they are using the money to fight insecurity in Nigeria. If it is intelligence gathering you want to gather, do it, let's understand. I keep telling people that at this stage of our existence in Nigeria since 1960, there's nothing stopping us to what we call the control room. That whatever is happening in Ondo West local government now, there will be a control room where some people will be monitoring the process. This is Lepakala, this is Yaba, this is Odotu. Activities of people day and night. That's what intelligence gathering is talking about. That if some people want to come and launch attack, you know what to call, you know how to block the road, such a way that they will not have any escape route. What are we talking about? Rural areas. Today you get to some rural areas now, like I said now, nothing like presence of any security person at that particular place. So these are the questions that our security officers must come and tell us how they be using the money now. Now look at the money budgeted for defense this year now. How are they going to use the money in such a way that they want to fight insecurity to stand things? So it's also, it goes beyond say that we are winning war. Although kudos to our security personnel, we know that they are fighting and they are doing all their best to win insecurity in Nigeria. But at this particular time, there are some things that we are not supposed to be hearing again in this country. That all these things are still happening. Issue of suicide bombers. To me, it's a kind of insult. You know, what recently happened in River State. This issue of crisis between footballers and filmmaker. That we were told that a particular bomber tried to bomb presidential hotel in River State. That although we were told that he injured himself.
Yes.
So at that
but again, we got information in Lagos that a suicide bomber was stopped in Lagos also. A female suicide bomber was stopped in Lagos. Just after the 29th July.
Yes, in River State. In River State.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying that we need to have what we call intelligence gathering, that at least monitor what then the money here mark to Ministry of Defence. How are we using this money? Are we using the money effectively in such a way that money meant to acquire weapons?
I think
money went to acquire more let me say more arsenal to fight insecurity is being acquired to fight this.
I want to ask, in this short period this present administration tends to have, how do you see the possibility of them balancing security concern, human rights and rule of law all at the same time?
Ezekiel, the issue of balancing insecurity, human rights, law, and so on and so forth should not be difficult for government to do, because and that's why we have.
It seems difficult for the past government to do. I don't know if this will be any different.
Let me say, under Jonathan, we did not see more violation of human rights in Nigeria, because during Jonathan we saw people on the streets with placards protesting and so on and so forth. But it was a little bit different under the last administration. This issue of fundamental human rights, going on the street to protest and so on and so forth. You can't see anything. In fact, there was a time we were told that they want to regulate social media, that you can't ventilate your opinion. And you know what the law says under Chapter 4 of the Constitution? Freedom of association, freedom of expression, even Section 22 of the Constitution that gives power to the media to hold government to account. You see now. But at least under this present administration, and that's recently, President Bola Tinubu got re-elected as AU ECOWAS chairman.
Yes.
You see now. No, people have been saying that a man that was there who fought military, junior our military juntas, trying to install democracy, trying to ensure that a woman's fundamental right is not violated by military and government and so on and so on. And that's what people are saying, that now you have the power now. Ensure that human rights is not violated by any government. Then what about the Criminal Justice Administration? What is judiciary saying? Dispensing judgment, fair, free, without any political coloration. So I think it should not be difficult for government to balance the whole thing, fight insecurity, ensure that you uphold the fundamental rights of we citizens who voted you into office, knowing full well that law permits us to have what we call a fundamental human right not to be violated. Then again, the rule of law is key, Ezekiel, under section 6 of the Constitution, because everything we are talking about is still the rule of law in this country. At the end of the day, a criminal will be apprehended, whether you like it or not. The news will filter in. At the end of the day, you don't hear anything again, and so on and so forth. So I think it should not be difficult for the government, unless you have a person who is not fully prepared. When he was coming to office, we see all this as a challenge, because he told us that already he is fully prepared, that he wants to become the president of Nigeria to address this issue in this country. It's not the one that will do it. It will delegate to a lot of people. We are talking about criminal justice. The IATF, Attorney General of the Federation, is there. We are talking about insecurity. Service chiefs are all there, right from the chief of defense staff, chief of army staff, chief of naval staff, chief of air staff, Inspector General of Police. You have the office of national security advisor. What are they doing? Are they advising the government on the right way to do, right way to go, and so on and so forth? So I think it should not be difficult for government to do, because we know that is the responsibility on him becoming the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Sam, we don't have time anymore. We've been told to round up, but I want to go with this. It says, in his first budget speech since taking office, Tinubu told lawmakers that security is important to safeguard lives, property, and investment across the country. Tinubu said he will overhaul Nigeria's internal security architecture to boost performance, operations, and achieve better results. But experts say Nigerian authorities have consistently increased military spending in recent years without making Nigerians safer and more secure. We're done because of time. I just want you in a few seconds to react to this as you round up. Your last word for this present administration in terms of security architecture.
It is true.
Few seconds.
I read the speech of Mr. President on issue of insecurity. He said they will equip our security personnel with necessary manpower to fight insecurity. And I'm saying that equipping our security architecture with necessary manpower is not by buying more ammunition, buying more jet, and so on and so forth. Equip them with more intelligence gathering, such a way that the fight will be very easy and will be very effective and efficient in fighting. It talks about overhauling security architecture, and that's why some governors are saying that if you really want to overhaul, please decentralize policing formation under section 214 of the Constitution. Allow regions to have their own security architecture in such a way that the fight against insecurity will be effective and will be seen under your government. Then again, Mr. President must start all the service chiefs that they must do the work as expected. He himself aware that Nigeria is a very big country, and we must not allow this country to become a place that you are fighting security here before we know it has been migrated to another region, to another. Up to this moment, we are yet to find a solution to what is going on in the northeast of the country, and that one is cause for another concern. So to me, overhauling security architecture goes beyond buying things, buying that. We must put the necessary things in place. If it calls for security summit, let's call for a security summit, and let's fashion a way out on how to overcome insecurity in Nigeria. Even its government itself will be rated on the issue of insecurity in this country. Wow.
We want to thank our guest, Mr. Olorunfemi Samson, for being on the show today. We all see the emotion, and I know that Nigerians feel the same way. We hope that those in authority who are watching the show must have picked out something and they will run with it. Thank you, Sam, for being on the show today. That's the show for today. My name is Anire Binitie. Stay positive, stay safe, and bye for now.